So judging by how this video is going to go, we're probably going to need a part 2 to explain everything else here. So I'm going to go through what if the Autobots left in Transformers 2. How would that go down? How would that affect the timeline? What would happen to humanity itself? And this all comes down to Theodore Galloway changing one thing. The president wants the Autobots to leave because he feels like there's no more Decepticons left. And under Theodore Galloway's, premise and his rudeness and brashness, Optimus Prime feels, a bit dishonored and a bit disrespected even. He feels like his Autobots are disrespected. So before they leave, they make demands. Optimus makes at least 3. One is that they get the Allspark shard back. 2, they get Jazz's corpse. And 3, they leave after they fix and revive their comrade. Not seeing anything wrong with this, Theodore Galloway pretty much abides by this term. And Ironhide is pretty much the one sent to get Jazz's corpse in this timeline, because he and Jazz had a connection. If you guys don't really read the Bayverse comics, he and Jazz were essentially like best buddies with each other. They were like the speed and strength combo, So, in all honesty, yeah, I think Ironhide getting Jazz's corpse and Ratchet would also send a couple Autobots. Let's say he sends Skids and Mudflap to retrieve, like, a certain scrap parts from the Decepticons, like, Sideways, who would have actually been... Oh, nah, Sideways exploded. Just a couple Decepticon parts. And he has Jolt use his electro transformation to basically rebuild Jazz into a much stronger and tougher body. Let's say they use Demolisher's parts here, and they rebuild Jazz into a much stronger and tougher body, and using the Allspark energy, boom, they revive him. No corruption. We're not going to have the corruption, because that, to me, made no sense. It made no sense at all. And Jazz would be wondering, why is he back from the dead? And this one, Optimus pretty much explains how, the humans are demanding them to leave, and pretty much insinuating that they don't need them anymore. They feel used. This would kind of struck a nerve with Jazz and the rest of the Autobots there, as they felt like they fought hard for the humans, that they pretty much stopped their race from being extinguished. They could have just took the Allspark and left. And this one, Sideswipe notes that it's good to have Jazz back, giving him a pat on the back and kind of, give him like that bro hug, if you will. And this is when, Sideswipe says they have their own means to leave the planet, and asks Optimus when's the time they're going to leave. So we would have this moment where Bumblebee says goodbye to Sam here, not really, getting any ill will towards Sam. All the Autobots pretty much say goodbye to him and the rest of the Nest forces, telling them to be prepared if anything happens. So we would have the Autobots and the Wreckers. Yes, the Wreckers were actually in Transformers 2 because they were already on Earth. You might say, why weren't they in the, movie? And again, that's Michael Bay for you, making a whole bunch of continuity errors that made no sense entirely. So, yeah, that's kind of what happened here. The Autobots would leave on the Xanthium, and they would be wondering where to go next. So RC offers them to go to Mars, because there's a lot of Cybertronian tech still there that she kind of destroyed with her original crew. So the Autobots would essentially travel to Mars, and they would send out a scouting team led by Jazz. You guys got to remember, Jazz would still be the first lieutenant, okay? Optimus Prime never promoted anyone to second lieutenant or third lieutenant during that movie. It was just those who were willing to step up kind of just took charge. So Jazz would be leading a team with Sideswipe and Bumblebee, with the other Autobots saying Jazz to be careful, because again, he was the only Autobot to die at this point. And he died to Megatron. So yeah, they're actually going to be a lot more careful with him in this timeline. This is when we actually see the scouting team meet Bumblebee and Bumblebee Smokescreen and a slightly repaired camshaft, who are actually carrying Air Raid. Now, in the original comic, Air Raid was still functional, but he just needed medical attention. Camshaft as well is possibly able to survive due to the fact that he's enhanced by the Allspark. So again, it's possible for them to survive just at that if they get these repairs already. So they were able to fix them up kind of good, but not fully, okay? So this is when the Autobots catch up, but Smokescreen reminds them that they still need help. But back at the ship, they meet Breakaway and Clocker, who are actually discussing with Optimus and RC and the rest of the Autobots that they need to return to Cybertron in order to help the underground resistance. Now you might say, why Breakaway and Clocker are there? You guys got to remember that, if you don't read the Bayverse comics, pretty much had them around Mars when Thundercracker attacked, so I think that they would have escaped with some minor injuries, met Boneby, Cliffjumper, and Camshaft, helped to repair Camshaft the best he can, and now we're in a point where they repaired Air Raid, kind of making him look like his Dark of the Moon variant, and then Optimus says, okay, they're going to Cybertron. Now, what's happening on Earth during this timeline? So, here's the thing. Soundwave would come a lot earlier, and he would be the one leading the operation like in the original Revenge of the Fallen timeline, because remember, we're in this timeline here, we're in Revenge of the Fallen still, and he would regroup with the Constructicons and rebuild Megatron. Now this makes it a whole lot more dangerous for the humans, because they don't have energon detectors. They don't have a way to pretty much track these Decepticons now, because they don't have the Autobots there helping them out, or possibly even giving them that tech. And remember, they lost the Allspark shard. So how are they going to revive Megatron? Remember the sliver, the Allspark sliver that Sam had? Yeah. They're going to send Barricade. Soundwave sends Barricade after it, to which he kills Sam and Michaela, and then he has, let's say he has Ravage. Ravage and his little minicon actually go to get the sliver. They bring it back to the Constructicons, who do the same thing they did in original, and boom, they revive Megatron. Except this time, Megatron doesn't head to Cybertron, because he's stopped by two other Decepticons, Starscream and Thundercracker. Starscream and Thundercracker are here, pretty much explaining to Megatron that right now, Cybertron is not available to them. And they kind of just say that Optimus Prime and the rest of the Autobot forces are there, and he seems to have tripled in size. Thundercracker confirms this and confirms every Autobot that is there, showing Megatron a hollow schematic of the Autobots he took before they left. But here's another thing. Megatron would then see this as an opportunity to take over Earth as well. And with his resurrected Decepticons of Blackout, Brawl, and Bone Crusher, and yes, I'm part of the group that believes that Grinder was supposed to be Blackout. Yeah, because in the original story, original writing, that was actually Blackout, not Grinder. While it did sell more toys, again, that is Blackout, not Grinder. I don't really believe that. But also, here's another thing. They have Devastator. Devastator would be tearing up cities. Let's pick a city. Matter of fact, let's just go to Chicago. Okay? We're going to Chicago in this timeline. So this means that they're tearing up everything here. And I think eventually, while they're taking over different areas and still, the humans are waging war the best they can, they will discover Shockwave. Okay? And Megatron would ask Shockwave, how did he get here? Why was he captured? Why was he, in cryostasis or whatever? And we have to, and this is when we go to Cybertron. We actually see a different group of Autobots this time fighting. We see them getting pushed back by Starscream and Shockwave's forces here, with nothing more than Swindle and Palo Jones. The Autobots would have been Wheeljack, Mirage, who would have looked like how they did in Revenge of the Fallen, albeit we'll switch up Mirage's, in the comics here, but instead we'll give Wheeljack his comic body and give Mirage his Dark of the Moon body. We have Wingblade, who is pretty much the aerial version of Ironhide. That's actually confirmed in his bio. He's literally the aerial version of Ironhide, but he gets shot down by Thundercracker, who was in the same category as Ironhide, and he gets caught by Armorhide. He gets caught by Armorhide before he hits the ground, and this means Wingblade and Armorhide both get to live here. However, Wingblade is grounded for a majority of the time, and he begins opening fire on the ground as soon as he and Armorhide confirm they're okay. We see Brawn actually taking on any Decepticon payload troopers that actually get too close, and once they get close, Brawn just straight up demolishes them. We also have Blazemaster, who gets shot out of the sky and caught by and gets catches by their team leader, Strongarm. So Strongarm catches Blazemaster, who actually looks more like his toy version. I don't really agree with the comic version. It looks horrifying. Like, they butchered our boy here. Like, come on now. And Blazemaster has the ability to, well, shoot flames. We're going to make his name literal in this one. And this is when we have a couple other additions. We have Hound, Drift, and Crosshairs also participating in this battle, doing their own parts. Pretty much Drift is partner up with Brawn here, and if any payload drone gets close, he slices and dices them, along with Crosshairs shooting them if he gets close here. Crosshairs is actually canon in the comics, by the way, so he looks a lot different. So, yeah, and the final Autobot we have here is Cosmos, their communications expert. And Cosmos tells them that this might be it. This might be the end here. But then Cosmos says, wait a minute, what's that? And this is when they see the Xanthium. And this is when Team Prime comes down, guns blazing, air raid tears it up, gives them the clear entrance, and Breakaway and the others make their way towards his original team. We actually get a good shot of the Autobots all killing someone, like, they each get their screen time to get their own fight sequences. They get like a 10-minute fight sequence that looks epic here. And then Strongarm tells his team to push towards Team Prime. Basically, Strongarm is in charge. Strongarm was in charge of the original one, so he decides to have them push back. Now we head into another problem, and I will actually make Strongarm Optimus Prime promote Strongarm to second lieutenant. But we have to deal with another problem here, and that's the Fallen, who would still be on Cybertron in this timeline. Probably not as strong as the original, but I do think he would have to come out of his bonds and fight against the other Autobots. Now, I do think that with Prime, without his upgrade and without the boost that the Matrix of Leadership actually gave him, because yes, Prime was actually got amped with the Matrix of Leadership, and, well, permanently amped by the Matrix of Leadership, and then got, a lot more mobile and a lot better arsenal when he had Jetfire's parts here. But I do think with the Autobots' combined efforts, they would have been able to kill the Fallen. Extremely high diff. Now, look, I think there's probably only 2 of them dying, and those 2 are probably like, we'll say the twin, we'll say Chromia and Alita 1 die. Okay, we'll say those 2 die because the Fallen takes them out the quickest. We'll just say that while everyone else is injured. Now, going to Earth, Megatron will have no resistance, except for 3 Autobots: Long Arm, Salvage, and Hot Rod. And I think at this time, we'll give them a couple kills. We'll say they killed the Dreads and Barricade in a good and close fight. But this means that they're badly outgunned in this fight here, and all they've been doing is pretty much running around and hiding the best that they can, using hit and run tactics. And in all honesty, I think I'm going to leave it here. This is definitely noteworthy of a part 2 here, you guys. And I'm going to have to cover, Age of Extinction and the Last Night timeline, because they will go so vastly differently here that it's not even funny. The timeline is basically flipped on its head here. But anyway, this is Legendary Grimlock. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and share with your friends. And I'll see you guys later for part 2. Peace.